Welcome, everyone. I'm Dick Deming. I'm Medical Director of Mercy One Cancer Center and the founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. Welcome to our weekly cancer education series. It's brought to you in part by a grant from the Iowa Oncology Society. And our guest tonight is my friend and colleague, Mary Van Heukelom.
Hello.
Hey, Mary.
Hello, Dick Deming. It's good to see you.
Mary is like the most of everything. She is the program director for Above and Beyond Cancer, and she's a cancer survivor, and she is just like an extraordinary person. And we are still on a little bit of a high because we got back 2 weeks ago from the last Above and Beyond Cancer journey, which was to Nepal. So welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I feel like I'm back on Central Time now.
Yeah, you all adjusted to...
Yes.
So before we talk about Above and Beyond Cancer, and we're also going to talk about the first ever Cancer Survivorship Summit for Iowa, but let's get to know you a little bit. So where did you grow up as a child, and where'd you go to high school?
Well, I grew up on a gravel road, playing in the dirt, on a farm.
On a farm.
The youngest of 6 kids.
Youngest of 6.
And I went to...
How many acres?
Oh, not a lot of acres, but enough to feed our family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We gardened everything that you could imagine that we would garden.
But you also probably grew corn and beans?
Yes, my dad farmed for a little bit, and then he retired from that and
Okay.
went into the mechanical realm. But we still forever lived out in the
On the
country and still gardened.
And did you had a garden, so you
Yes.
grew human food?
Yes.
And did you have chickens, ducks, pigs, cows? Did you have
When
some
I was
livestock?
when I was really little, there was a milking cow, and my dad had some quarter horses that he would use on the farm. My grandmother had chickens that we got to help butcher and eat fresh fried chicken every week, which was pretty dynamo. But I realize now how spoiled I was.
Did you collect eggs every morning?
Yes, yeah. We would collect eggs and. When you're a kid and you have to do garden chores, it's not that fun. But when you get older and you realize like how delicious all that food is, you realize how lucky you were.
And how far to town?
By bike, it took me 20 minutes to bike 5 miles on the gravel road to get into softball practice or the swimming pool.
Right. And it was uphill both ways?
It was lots of hills,
lots of
yes,
hills.
yeah.
And the town was?
North English, and it hovers just around 1,000 people.
Okay.
So I had 20.
Is there a South English?
There is a South English.
Is
yes,
there?
there
Okay.
is. The English River goes right between North English and South English, believe it or not. And so our school district was English Valleys. It's a Class 1A school, and 28 people in my graduating class.
Okay. And Class 1A is the smallest?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your personal claim to fame at North English High?
Oh, gosh. Personal claim to fame. I don't know.
Don't be bashful.
I liked sports, and we played a lot of sports, and
So
I
what
liked
were you
band.
Best? What were you best in? Sports?
Maybe running. Maybe running.
Okay.
We had a team that was state competitive in track and cross country.
Did
So
you
it was
ever
a
get to run at
collective.
the Drake Relays?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay,
A
good.
couple years.
And
yeah.
then what did you play in band?
Saxophone, the alto sax. Yeah.
What was your favorite song to play in the marching band?
Maybe Proud Mary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah,
I
right.
And then you were an athlete. Were you also a cheerleader?
I was. When you're in the small town, you get to do
You
all
get
the
to do
things.
everything.
So I would cheer at the football game, and at halftime I would go march, and in the marching band at halftime in my cheer outfit. And then on Saturday morning I'd run a cross country meet. So you could do all those
Great.
things at the same time.
And were you homecoming queen?
I was homecoming queen.
You really were everything. Were you valedictorian?
No, I was the second.
Salutatorian?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I am in awe. And then what did you do? So you were the 6th of 6 kids.
Yes.
So did all of the teachers already know you? Through
Well,
your
probably
siblings?
pretty much. It's a small town, and it was
How
a big
did you
family.
How did you live up to
I didn't. I
expectations?
couldn't. There was no
Okay.
way. Yeah. All my siblings are amazing.
How many of your sisters were homecoming queen?
I think they were all on the court. I don't know if they were the queen.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. But they were all really great. Just they were great siblings, and they all worked really hard and played a lot of sports and worked hard in school too.
And were you close enough that you were actually in high school with some of your
With
siblings?
one of them.
With one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, after this illustrious career at North English,
Illustrious.
that included track, saxophone, cheerleading, and homecoming queen, you then went where?
I got a teaching degree at the University of Northern Iowa.
Okay.
And then
So when you went to UNI, did you know you were going to be a teacher?
I did. Well, in high school, what's interesting was with my job now, and I think about this, it dawned on me. In high school, I thought I either wanted to go into nursing or be a school teacher. And of course, I'm not a nurse, but I find it interesting that I am educating cancer survivors and I'm working in the health industry in some way. And so, of course, when I was a teenager, a job like this didn't exist to be a certified cancer exercise trainer. But maybe there was some intuition there that I was going to combine health and education in some way eventually in my life. So, yeah, I worked in the public school system and earned my master's in education and then
What was your
started
very first job as a teacher once you finished college at UNI?
North Scott High School in Eldridge, Iowa. A very lovely school. I loved my
What did you
teaching there.
teach?
I taught American government and American history and an elective class called 1960s to the present and world geography.
And 1960s to the present was 1960s to 1990 or what?
Yeah,
What was the
yeah. I
present?
mean, actually, I don't even think we got past the 1970s. I was so excited about the 1960s that we spent like a whole semester on the 1960s.
So you probably did student teaching
Mm-hmm.
before, but do you remember like your first day in the classroom? Like you're the real teacher and you're probably look like your kids you're teaching.
right,
and
exactly. Like I
trying to
was
figure
23
out,
and
are
I was.
you their friend? Or are you like their smackdown authoritarian? How
Well,
did you approach your teaching
I think-
relationship with high school kids?
Yeah, I definitely did not have the authoritarian approach. I think my approach was mutual respect, and I definitely I was really earnest about being the material being applicable to the student and trying to get to know the student. And I really did love public education. It was a big decision for me to leave public education and focus my energy on above and beyond cancer and training. I don't have any regret that I did that, of course. And now I just consider myself still a teacher, but I'm teaching something different than 1960s to
And
the
if I
present.
recall, you spent several years in classroom, and then you had another position in public schools, right? Didn't you?
Yes, yep.
You were
yep.
kind of like almost like a social worker.
Yeah, well, yeah, I
counselor,
worked
or
with,
What did you call
I was working
yourself?
with a federal grant program called Gear Up, and the goal was to increase graduation rates. So I was working with,
At risk.
yes, teenagers and helping support their educational pathway and how to help get them to school. Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you leave public school jobs for above and beyond
Yeah, I
cancer?
think it was maybe around 2015 or 2016. I let my teaching license expire, and I went all in on the training and everything else.
And was that kind of scary? Or you were
No,
ready? You
I
were
was
ready.
excited. I was excited. I think there was grief because in the sense that I missed working with teenagers. So I would beg my kids to bring their friends over so I could hang out with as many young
So by this
people
time your
as
kids
possible.
are teenagers
yeah.
and just we'll play school.
Yes,
You bring your friends
yes.
over and I'll pretend I'm the teacher.
Let me pretend to give advice to anybody I can.
Okay. Okay. So, the very first journey we did, we date our birthday, our meaning above and beyond cancer, back to 2011, and you were the trainer that we had 29 cancer survivors and caregivers going to Mount Everest Base Camp, and Mary was training us.
Yes.
So go back to 2011 and talk about what that was like and what was going through your mind as we were training to go to Nepal, to go to Mount Everest Base Camp, which probably nobody quite understood what the heck that was going to be.
You're exactly right. I think I had I had emotions all over the place. First of all, I was very excited, and I got to formally be introduced to you and feed off that energy and that excitement with the plan. There was also definitely some nervousness and a little bit of like, what the heck am I doing? Do I know what I'm doing? And so it definitely required some some back information and for me to kind of prep myself appropriately. I think about my approach now when working with survivors. It's definitely much more polished and I don't know the term I want to use there, but just more knowledge. And so I look back at that. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity, and I feel like we all did the best we could to prepare that team. And I'm also glad I've gained more wisdom along the way of how to be more supportive of survivors. But honestly, Dick Deming, of all my years of working in different professions, I've always felt drawn to serving people. I will still never forget the feeling of walking into the classroom with all the cancer survivors the very first time we were going to train for that track, and I had goosebumps, and I still have. I'm getting goosebumps right now rethinking about it, and it was such an emotional, moving experience for me that something really clicked. That I was just like, wow, this is something I've never felt before. This draw to work with cancer survivors, and the energy that they had in that room and their earnest effort to just help prepare themselves, but also embarking on something we all, as you said, had very little knowledge what was going to happen.
We knew it was going to be something big. We were excited. We were anxious. We were but we didn't quite know what it was. But I would say, you got this amazing emotional intelligence that, yes, at that point, you didn't know even a tenth of what you know now about cancer, and we'll talk about that. But you've got this sense of emotional intelligence and how to recognize someone's fear and excitement and joy and how to bring a group together. I mean, you've got that just as part of your essence and your personality, but then also the years that you were a teacher. I mean, even though it's certainly different teaching a teenager than a 50-year-old, but the communication skills that you have.
Thank you.
And emotional intelligence just was so, and everybody was excited.
It was a very monumental experience and so many levels. And I continue to think back of how much that catapulted my growth professionally and personally. And there are conversations I've had over the years that still are right at the forefront of my mind, like they just happened 5 minutes ago, of voices of survivors, stories of survivors, and how it has opened my world of perspective and learning, and also at the same time fueling this desire to squeeze every ounce of life possible.
Yeah, get every ounce of joy out of every day. So, whether we knew it or not, certainly I was at that point had been a cancer doctor for decades and knew that these relationships are rewarding, but I also knew that the closeness of the relationship also means that if someone dies, that you feel it more closely than if you just were casually a patient's doctor and didn't have, a relationship. We certainly didn't know that of the 29 people that were with us in 2011, 5 would subsequently die. And, the intensity of the joy and the intensity of the sorrow that comes with that journey elevates and just amplifies life. Yeah. So it's almost like, well, if you knew you were going to lose 5 people, would you have gotten involved to begin with? Not that that's a question that anyone would have asked would have answered, but I think often of a phrase in a book by Wallace Stegner that, and I shall be richer all my life for this sorrow, and that sorrow that comes from an intensity of a relationship where, the sorrow is commensurate to the joy that one got in the relationship, and that it's part of what being involved with cancer is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's definitely a vulnerability that comes from that closeness. And for me, it's worked the opposite, that I feel like I want to go more in. I want to be more authentic and vulnerable. And because we know that people we interact with will die, that I will die, that to me, again, it's a motivator of creating that important relationship, rather than backing away from
Right.
it or putting a wall
Not
or
a
not
reason
being
to avoid it.
correct.
It's even more reason to
Yes.
cherish it and live it to the max while you have it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that first trip, you were Mary, former teacher, trainer, athlete, but you weren't a cancer survivor. And it wasn't until years later, so that first trip was 2011. When did you first personally hear the words, "You have cancer"?
It was December of 2021. I had just finished my first colonoscopy after my 50th birthday. And I got that news. It was a surprise.
Yeah, 10 years after you had been working for 10 years
Yes.
with cancer survivors, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, I think I just got invited into the club.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first time. That, thinking back, I'll let you tell the story. That, from the time of you have cancer till you're cured of cancer, was a very short period of time.
Yeah, I was really lucky. Of course, I called you right away when I was told by my colonoscopy doctor. And I had surgery to remove part of my colon, and there was no lymph node invasion, so did not require any chemotherapy or radiation. And so, it was, I remember meeting with you and the surgeons after my surgery, and we were all kind of smiling, looking at this picture of my colon, I think.
And I remember you had a stuffed piece of poop that somebody had given you
Katie
in your room.
McKenzie, yes.
So it was a little plush poop toy.
Yes.
But from the time were told you had cancer till you had the cancer removed was like just a
few
couple of
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
And
Went
then it
fast.
was like, it's like, I'm a cancer survivor. And it was almost like there wasn't enough time to even maybe process that.
Yeah, it all happened pretty quickly, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was just the first time. And then you needed a graduate degree, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So then your
about,
second cancer diagnosis was what year?
about 14 months after my colon surgery, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Yeah.
So a lymph node positive triple negative breast cancer.
Yes.
Not as quick and easy of a course of treatment for that.
No, I got to have all the fun chemo treatments.
Yeah, so you got the yes.
Yeah.
Chemo and surgery and a much longer course of treatment.
Yes, but also very grateful for my team and how I'm doing.
Yeah. Tell us, what are some of life lessons that you learned as a patient going through cancer treatment?
I think I learned more, understand that concept of fear of recurrence. It was something that survivors would share with me about before my own diagnosis. And I think, I would like to consider myself a compassionate learner. And at the same time, I was so earnest about trying to offer guidance, right? And would talk about mindfulness-based strategies or counseling or things to be supportive, which I still think are equally very important to be
This is when you're
sharing.
counseling others about their recurrence.
So then when I went through my journey and I had a better understanding of what is scanxiety, what is that all of a sudden you're overcome with, wait, what if this comes back? That now I feel like naturally spend more time in I understand and that validation component. And so I just think my own cancer journey in general has allowed me to marinate more in validation with a survivor. Again, not in a sense of pity, because nobody likes pity. We all really don't want pity. We want to be understood. We want to be heard, respected, and valued. That's different than feeling sorry. It's more like, I acknowledge it. I see you. I understand this. And I feel like all of our healing, no matter what is going on with an adverse part of our life, I think healing often begins with being seen, heard, and validated.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to give you 4 words that is helpful for me as you talk about this. So there's this sort of hierarchy of how we might react to somebody who is in an unfortunate situation. And kind of at that low level is pity, which is almost like a putting them down. But the next step up is sympathy, which is a little bit more gracious. But the next step up is empathy. So you actually put yourself in their shoes. But there's one higher level, and that's compassion, where you reach out to actually try to relieve their suffering. So that hierarchy of pity to sympathy to empathy to what I see you display all the time, compassion, a deep understanding of the difficulty you're going through, and not just to understand it, but to want to help relieve it. And I mean, that's something that I would say is part of your natural makeup, but I'm sure, like anything, we learn how to be better at doing that.
Yes.
Do you think, so I often talk about how our own suffering allows us to recognize when we're suffering, but then also our own suffering allows us to be better able to recognize when somebody else is suffering, and not just recognize it, but want to compassionately reach out. Would you say that your ability or your ability to recognize suffering in others, or your way of interacting with others to help relieve their suffering, has been influenced by your own cancer journey?
Yeah, I definitely think how I choose to respond or converse or be present, and sometimes, being compassionate is absence of words, and it's just being present with somebody. I think it's important for us to recognize as humans that we're not going to have all the solutions, and we're not going to really always be able to take somebody's pain away, but sitting with somebody and being with somebody and sharing your space and time is the comfort, the emotional comfort that somebody typically desires.
Yeah, that can be healing. You can't fix the problem, but you can help with the healing. Yeah. So over the course of the last 15 years, we have Above and Beyond Cancer has expanded. So we started off talking about the trip that we just took, and we started about talking about the trip that we took in 2011, and we did a trip once a year. But Above and Beyond Cancer is much, much, much more than the trips. How would you describe what Above and Beyond Cancer does today, the various programs that help individuals who've been touched by cancer?
I think what we're doing on a day-to-day basis is so critical for cancer survivorship, especially with the understanding of what research shares in regards to the importance of movement and nutrition and stress management to better quality of life for cancer survivors and reduction of side effects. And so I think as our whole team has embraced this research and scientific understanding, and we've been very mindful and creative about creating very well-rounded programming that can serve survivors' intentions for a better way of life, no matter where they are in their cancer journey. And so I feel like that has been really beautiful and unique within our organization, that we can meet survivors where they are and take the time to hear their story and what's important to them and how things are feeling, and help us fill in the puzzle pieces of how to help them continue with the best quality of life
And a
possible.
lot of what we do, we call optimal living program. Maybe describe what is this program that we do day in and day out, week in and week out. Yeah, once a year we go on a journey, but describe what's does the optimal living program consist of?
Yeah, so the Optimal Living Program has a variety of programs that are aimed to boost mind, body, and spirit health. And so we do this with some programs are primarily focused mostly on movement. So movement might be weight resistance training, it might be hiking, it might be biking, it might be rowing, it might be in the pool. And then we have programs that focus on mindfulness-based practices like meditation and yoga and sound healing and Reiki and forest bathing. And then we also use food education and nutrition and cooking classes. And I think also what I love about Above and Beyond Cancer, it also embraces like the excitement of learning something new and different and being playful and being creative. So we look at the healing arts, we look at the humanities, dancing, book club, educating ourselves, like the cancer education series. So I feel like as program director, my hope is when we lay out options and we learn that there's going to be at least one thing someone's willing to dip their toes in or follow a passion or learn something new of the realm of programming.
So you mean you look at the calendar for Above and Beyond Cancer, I mean, there are things almost every day of the week, and some weeks I counted up, there's like 30 different activities people can participate in through the week. And as you mentioned, yoga, meditation, tai chi, qigong, walking, hiking, pole walking, indoor rowing, indoor cycling, forest bathing, paddle boarding, ballroom dancing. I mean, wow.
It is wow.
It's amazing. And these are all done with in facilities around the city and in state parks and city parks and county parks. So we don't have a building where everybody comes to do this. It's spread throughout the metro area.
Right, which I think is why it makes it so beneficial, because we are diverse geographically and we partner with so many wonderful facilities and other organizations that believe in medical programming and help us provide that in their center. So, without our partners, we wouldn't be able to do that because we share resources and bring in these experts, and as you mentioned, all over. So we're as far north as Ankeny and as far west as Waukee, and we're in the heart of Des Moines and also on the southeast side. So we're hitting every direction of the metro.
And we have a couple of pilot programs as well, looking for at providing some care in rural Iowa.
Yes, we have
including Clinton and Atlantic.
Yes, exactly right. And we've also increased our ability to support survivors through telehealth, and we've also continued to build on our video library that people can access anytime on our YouTube channel. So it has been really exciting. I mean, in 2020, I know that was COVID year, but our referrals were about the same in 2020 as they were in 2019, and that was hovering around 60 new referrals. And for the last 4 years, we've been hitting over 300 new referrals every year. And every month, we're having 900 to 1,000 attendance touch points monthly in our variety of programs. So we know that with where cancer is in the state of Iowa, that what Above and Beyond Cancer is doing is very important and essential for cancer survivors and their families. We're here to support caregivers as well and other people in the community. And so I feel like us continuing to thrive is so important so cancer survivors and their families can continue to thrive.
And you mentioned some of the benefits. So individuals who engage in these physical activities with support and under, guidance, will have improved outcomes, fewer side effects, and actually one big paper we've talked about, but I really can't stop talking about it, is 3 months ago in the New England Journal of Medicine, the most prestigious medical journal in the world. They had published a randomized prospective study. It was stage 3 colon cancer. All of the patients had surgery. All the patients had 6 months of chemotherapy. And then they were randomized, and half of them were told, okay, you're done with treatment, go about your life. The other half were say, okay, you're done with treatment. We will engage you in a vigorous physical activity program for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, the group that was randomized to do physical activity had a statistically significant improvement in survival, in cure, compared to those that just went about their life. And the magnitude of the improvement in survival was almost the same as the magnitude of the improvement in survival with chemotherapy. So some people kind of think, oh, this is just, just fun and games. But as the evidence shows, it may be fun and games, but it's also improving not only survival, but decreases side effects.
Yeah, and we're seeing that. Thank you for sharing that study. We're seeing that within Above and Beyond Cancer in regards to how we're tracking quality of life surveys and what survivors are reporting after going through a 12-week medical outcome-based program, and self-reporting that they have more energy and less fatigue, and self-reporting that their quality of life is improved and their physical health is improved. And then we also are doing our own intake and exit assessments. And these assessments are also showing on average an increase in muscle mass, an increase in cardio health, reduction in pain. So our metrics are showing also what these larger studies are showing. And it's really exciting. It's exciting to be a part of a program where we might be working with somebody who may be forever taking chemo pills, or they might be in the middle of chemo treatment, or they might be 5 years out, and they will say, I feel the strongest I've ever felt, or, I no longer have this headache after infusion like I used to get, or I have the energy now to hang out with my grandkids. And so we're really seeing this firsthand, people improving their quality of life, again, no matter where they are in their journey. And having the support of all of our oncology providers has been great. Getting medical referrals from all the major hospitals is really important.
It has been a bit of education because, frankly, the kind of the old school way is, oh, I'm sorry you have cancer. Take it easy, take a nap, eat some bonbons. Your friends bring you chocolate chip cookies, bake you goodies. The next thing you know, even with early stage breast cancer, you end up gaining 20 pounds, getting thrown into menopause, and end up less healthy after your cancer is cured than you were when you had cancer. And it doesn't have to happen that way. I'm sorry you have cancer, but don't take naps and eat bonbons. You got to continue to move. And physical activity will improve your condition, reduce the side effects, and improve your overall survival.
Yeah, and I think I felt that on my journey. I stayed as active as I could going through my chemo and maintained working full time. And I'm not putting things on a comparison. Everyone has their own cancer experience. I do believe, I can't do my own case study on myself, right? I'm not going to go through it again and not do all those things and see what happens. But I do feel like, by and large, my side effects were minimal. And I do think that had something to do with the fact that I was very earnest about being plant-forward eating and also staying moving throughout my chemo treatments.
Motion is lotion.
Yes.
So we talked about two of the things that Above and Beyond Cancer does. We talked about the once-a-year trip. We talked about the optimal living program. And the third thing that Above and Beyond Cancer does that we took on during the pandemic and we've maintained is our hotel lodging program. And maybe talk a little bit about what is the Above and Beyond Cancer hotel lodging program.
Yeah, any Iowan who's getting cancer care more than 50 miles away from their residency is eligible to get a free hotel stay for their cancer care. So we have served many counties here in the state of Iowa. I'm thinking it's like in the 60s,
Yeah,
maybe.
definitely over half of the counties we've had
Yes.
cancer patients.
Yes, and many of these rural Iowans have shared that they may not have been able to make it to their radiation or their chemo appointment if they would not have had these free hotel stays. So we know that this program is very essential, and then we have some, obviously wonderful staff who are managing the hotel program.
So we have something coming up on June 11th we want to talk about. So the first time ever, Above and Beyond Cancer is hosting the first statewide Iowa Cancer Survivorship Conference. So tell us a little bit about that. It's June 11th. Where is it, and who can attend, and how can they sign up?
Yeah, so we are partnering with ITA. This is where the event is being held. And you can register by finding registration on our website or on our calendar. So it's open to anybody to come and register.
aboveandbeyondcancer.org.
Yep, you're correct. And the event is, as you mentioned, there's nothing like it right now in the state of Iowa. So it's focusing on some important components of cancer survivorship, because in one day we're not going to be able to cover them all. But we highlight the importance of humanities and the arts and the realm of healing. We're also going to talk about the importance of movement and exercise, and we have a doctor from Iowa City who will be presenting. And then we're also, Dr. Andy Nish and a registered dietitian will be talking about the importance of nutrition in relationship to cancer survivorship. And then a therapist who specializes on working with oncology patients, Julie Larson, will be talking about managing the fears and changes that come with cancer survivorship.
Right. And as you talked about, the first part is the part I get to do, working with Anna McCracken, and we're going to talk about the creative arts. We're going to talk about journaling and writing and poetry and literature and music and visual arts, and the way that the arts can help us all find meaning and purpose in life. So it should be an exciting day from 9 to 4 with a nice luncheon as well. In addition to those 4 different areas that we'll be talking about in terms of how they can enhance your life, again, the creative arts, psychosocial support and the fear of recurrence, nutrition, physical activity. We're also going to have a forum where all of the not-for-profits that are dealing with cancer will be coming together in one room and be available for the cancer survivors to interact with.
Yeah, we've got a lot of booths and vendors there. And the other exciting thing is the attendees will be able to get a taste of some practices within that conference time too. So we'll have a little bit of movement and a little bit of engagement. So we get to walk the walk and just not sit and listen all day long.
And they literally get a taste of some organic produce too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And so it's from 9 to 4. It is only $25, and that includes lunch. And if $25 is an obstacle, just ask for a scholarship and you can come for free.
Yes. And I would encourage, if you are interested in going, to get your ticket soon, because I do think we're going to sell out.
Yeah. Because the space, so we're having it at the ITA Conference Center. So Rob Dana, who is on the leadership team for ITA, is on our board, and because of that, they're allowing us to use their conference center for free. And so it's going to be limited to 150 Iowans. So first come, first serve. So what are you most excited about that conference?
I think just seeing people, having a room together, again, of people who care about quality of life and bringing cancer survivors together, and getting to meet some other professionals as well. And, yeah, hanging out with some amazing people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have some cancer survivors that are going to play some of the music they've created. We're going to have cancer survivors reading some of the poetry they've created. We're going to have some of the artwork that have been created. So I'm excited about that as well. What would you like to tell our audience about Above and Beyond Cancer that we haven't touched on that you think they might not know? What are some of the surprising hidden gems that happen during the course of a week in Above and Beyond Cancer? Well, obviously, there's my spin class and the play.
Yes, I
and
mean,
the
if the playlist at your
playlist
spin
of my
class
spin
is
that you know,
legendary.
legendary.
It's legendary.
You talk about Tina Turner. You talked about you're going to play the saxophone someday. Right?
Oh, I
At
wish
my
I could
spin
do that.
What was the song you really liked?
A Proud Mary.
Proud Mary.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back to lessons on that.
Yeah.
I will say that, you know, Above and Beyond Cancer is doing things year round, and we're getting outside year round. And I think for someone who grew up out in the country, to tie this from the beginning, is I feel like getting outdoors is so essential. And the average American spends less than 20 minutes outside a day.
Oh wow.
And we know that now, again, with science, that part of our mental and emotional well-being is engaging in the outdoors. And so I just really encourage anybody who's listening right now to get outside and play. Whatever, you know, think about those things that brought joy to you and how can you get a little bit closer to that. And you can check out our calendar and you can see the ways in which Above and Beyond Cancer is getting outside and just enjoying nature and community and boosting one another's health and well-being by interacting with nature in really lovely ways.
So here's a saying from my mom. I'm curious whether your mom ever said it. You kids get outside and get the stink blown off you. Did you ever hear that growing up?
No, I think they
Okay.
loved our stink apparently, but it was definitely get outside.
Get
it was more like
outside,
go
get
pick
the
the
stink
onions
blown
and
off
pluck
you,
the
and
weeds.
don't come in till the street lights come on.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let's open up for questions. So we've got a live studio audience here. They get first questions. But if you happen to be watching us remotely right now, live streaming, you can put your question into the comments section of the software you're using. But we'll start off. Poon, you get first question.
Mary, someone watching tonight or tomorrow or whenever will go, oh, I've never worked out before. How do you get that person started? Are they just thrown in a program with other survivors?
Just throw them in the deep end.
Right.
And see if they can sink, swim, or
Yeah, right. Well,
sink or
Poon,
Or-
you couldn't have asked a better question. I'm glad that you asked that. So I think that's so important because the Above and Beyond Cancer's goal is to meet the cancer survivor where they are. And anybody that is referred to our program, they start off with a one-on-one meeting with one of our professionals. And at that meeting, we're learning how their body's feeling, where they are in their journey, how their medical history. But also we're talking about what's important to them, where do they find joy, what is or is not their current activity level. So we're able to really pinpoint what is that starting point. We use what is called a motivational interviewing technique, and that is getting to know the human being and asking open-ended questions and help gravitate to that area that they know that they feel confident starting. The last thing we're going to do is say, this is exactly what you need to do, and without any understanding from them. So it's really important to understand their motivation and their skill set and start from there to lay out a plan.
Okay.
You're welcome, Poon.
Next question.
I would be interested in knowing, well, first of all, I'm just getting started in Above and Beyond. Never in my life have I been so humbled with the outreach that is just pouring out upon me. I'm curious to know how Above and Beyond began, how it started. I have an education background, and just what I'm learning about it, it's a comprehensive sequential developmental curriculum. I mean, how did this come about?
So, as Dr. Deming mentioned, 15 years ago, the organization was founded after a team went to the base camp of Everest. And for the first 4 years of the organization, we were primarily only a transformational journey model. I say that Dr. Richard Deming had been teaching indoor cycling, and also the cancer education series were going on, and there was some dabbling in some yoga classes. Around 2015, Above and Beyond Cancer started to focus on developing outcome-based medical programming and community programming. So that started to unfold by thinking about what do survivors need and what are the gaps in the community and how can we continue to fill in those gaps, because we know there are great programs out there that are doing other things, so we didn't want to duplicate what was already out there. Like, there are great Y programs, there are great programs at Mercy One Health and Fitness, there are all kinds of things in this greater community, but we wanted to pinpoint what are the needs of a medical community, what are the needs of caregivers, and how do we get people started, kind of like Poon's question, who had never been active before. That looks a lot different than going to a pop-in class at a big fitness gym, right? Someone really needs the proper guidance and attention. So year after year, we kept learning, what are we seeing as referrals come in, and what are we hearing from survivors, and how do we continue to create programming that will serve those emotional, mental, physical needs and community needs. So I think, one thing I've been overwhelmed and I've loved to also witness is the building of a community and the healing that comes from socialization and being around other peers who also have a bit of an understanding. And that's where, again, that compassion can grow. So yeah, that's a great question. So I would say, over the last 10 years, there has not been a year that we have not added something new to our curriculum or expanded on something. One thing we haven't talked about is our young adult survivor program. So that's another example where we identified there was a need in the community of serving more people between the ages of 18 and 40, and really trying to uplift that group of humans that have other unique circumstances that they often have to face with a cancer diagnosis.
I would also call out the impact that this building had on getting us started. So back when this building was built, in this building, we are in the Mercy One Health and Fitness Center. When it was built, it was also managed by the Y, so it was called the YMCA Healthy Living Center. And this is on a campus with a cancer center, and this was built as a medical-directed fitness center. The same time this was built, which was about 16 years ago, the YMCA of Des Moines received the designation of Live Strong at the Y, and I became the medical director of Live Strong at the Y. So we started doing this once-a-week cancer education series, and I taught a spin class. The model for Live Strong, though, was that you got a group of cancer survivors together, you had them for 8 weeks, and then you let them go, and then you did another 8 weeks. Well, we never wanted to just let people go. At 8 weeks, you're just kind of getting them started. But we started off calling the stuff we were doing Live Strong at the Y, but we didn't do their model. And then in 2011, we did that trip, and it's like, well, this isn't Live Strong at the Y. And what we were doing was so different that we then decided to create our own entity of Above and Beyond Cancer. And instead of just having a group of people for 8 weeks and letting them go, you could be part of our group activity forever, and you could bring your family members. And then we started looking with Mary as a professional, what are the actual evidence-based programs that have been shown to definitely improve survival, reduce the side effects, and enhance quality of life. So, but I did want to just give a shout out to this building as a medical-directed fitness center, to Live Strong, and to the program that was created. Now, Live Strong has waned, as Lance Armstrong sort of had a fall from grace, and his organization isn't as prominent as it was. And the amount of knowledge we have on what specific activities can actually enhance strength but reduce side effects and improve survival, that's not a competence that every personal trainer has, but it's a competence that ours does, and it's something we rely on as we develop programs. People will have fun and improve quality of life, but we're doing programming that we know has been proven to reduce side effects and improve survival as well. Yes.
Gail is watching on YouTube this evening, and Gail wants to know, has the post-treatment recovery of muscle mass been seen in patients over 80?
So, do you know the literature on cancer survivors over the age of 80?
I don't have a
specific
I don't.
answer.
I don't. I will say that this person wasn't 80, but I have worked with people in their mid to upper 70s and had a gain in muscle mass. And I can think of two, they accomplished this also under testosterone reducing medicine, which is quite substantial.
So men that were on medicine that actually lowered their testosterone, but they were still able to gain strength. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prostate
Yeah.
cancer survivors
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
70s who increased muscle mass.
You know, I have a 90-year-old that right now participates in spin class. I have not done a pre and post measurements, but we also, I've had a lovely couple that were both in their mid-80s. She had stage 4 breast cancer, he had stage 4 prostate cancer that engaged in activity. I would bet that there is literature, and I will do a literature review and open evidence to see, but I would bet that there is data showing that even after the age of 80, the type of activities that we're doing can be shown to improve strength, balance, and quality of life in individuals over the age of 80. I will report back on that. But I bet that there is evidence showing that. I don't think that there's any reason to think theoretically that someone over the age of 80 wouldn't also get the benefits. It's a good question.
Yeah, and I've got a very quick question about forest bathing. That's one discipline that I find fascinating. And for people that have gotten, a cancer diagnosis, maybe they were sedentary, maybe they're just extremely ill, but if they can get a walker, if they can get a wheelchair, if they can get a stretcher almost and get in a lightly forested area, just around an evergreen tree, for an example, it seems like the science says they'll benefit from that. What do you say about forest bathing?
Yeah, you're right. Like the forest bathing, the concept isn't a brisk walk. It is a saunter and a sit and a mindfulness-based practice within a forested area or a green space. And so we know, again, science has shown that trees themselves will emit an oil called phytoncides, which help boost our body's own immunity. So we can have a cellular response from being in nature, but we also can have the relaxation response. And so in relaxation response, or this parasympathetic nervous system, when our body slows down, we're breathing with our diaphragm. That means we're not releasing stress hormones. That means we're in relaxation state, reduces inflammation, builds immunity. So anytime we're in a mindfulness-based practice, we get that benefit, but we get almost a double benefit when we're doing a mindfulness-based practice in a green space, actually touching the grass, being around trees. And so Above and Beyond Cancer does have guided outdoor mindful experiences that people can participate in. We have a group that regularly does this on Tuesday mornings, and they all self-report that it's been a very beautiful part of their emotional and mental well-being. Above and Beyond Cancer sponsored me to get my certification to lead forest bathing activities. So if people want to dive into more of that science, I'd be happy to kind of get out all that with them.
Great. We have time for one more question. Last question.
I'm thinking about my sister who passed away from acute lymphocytic leukemia 5 years before I was born, when she was 3 in 1945. And I've had first cousins tell me that she just screamed in pain all the time. So my question is there a component of Above and Beyond for children?
Yeah, right now we do not have a pediatric program for Above and Beyond Cancer. Pediatric cancer is less common. Certainly, there is a need for that. There is an organization in town called Children's Cancer Connection that does, their whole mission is around children with cancer and their families. So I would answer that we don't specifically have a program for children. Sometimes children of cancer patients might participate in some of the things. How would you answer that, Mary?
Yeah, that is definitely not our specialty, but there are really good pediatric oncology resources here in the Des Moines Metro. The Children's Cancer Connection, and then the hospital starts with a B. Blank Children's Hospital. Thank you.
Yes.
Blank Children's Hospital also has pediatric program for
Yes.
families and children. So there's some great organizations hitting home runs with pediatric oncology.
Yeah. Well, Mary, thank you for being our guest. This was so fun.
Thank
to
you.
Do a deeper dive and kind of reminisce. And I'm so looking forward to June 11th. So if any of you out there would like to participate in the very first Iowa Cancer Survivorship Summit, please go to aboveandbeyondcancer.org. It's June 11th from 9 to 4 p.m. in West Des Moines, and Mary and I will be there, and it will be a lot of fun. If you know somebody that would benefit by watching this program again, this program that you just watched is going to be available on demand beginning tomorrow at the Above and Beyond Cancer YouTube channel, and it's also going to be available at the Mercy Cancer Center website. I hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yay.